Nice. Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining in. Thank you for tuning in from your homes. It's always good to be here, even if I can't see you right now, but I know you're there. And it's always good to be in this place. It's always good to be surrounded by this energy and protected by this energy. So, with that in mind, I'd like to do a quick prayer for us to begin the work of the evening, elevating our thoughts, taking a deep breath, and first of all, joining ourselves, joining our own spirit. For some moments of reflection, some moments of thought, some moments of study. Even though many of us are staying at home these days, our mind still goes to many places. Our mind still runs around, and our mind is still following worries and issues. So at this moment, we want to ask for the help of our mentors, of our spiritual friends, to be fully present and to join ourselves for this moment. And we want to thank them as well for their continuous help. So be it. Okay, so with that, let's start. We want to talk today about a different perspective. And what is that? Well, let's see. There is a concept, there is an idea that I brought already to some talks here. We've discussed about it already. But today, thinking about it, I saw that it may have a different meaning. So I wanted to bring it again. And that's the idea of, some of you may remember, the Chinese character for crisis. The idea of crisis is composed of two pieces, and those two pieces are danger and opportunity. So we've talked about how the moments of crisis may be difficult moments, but they may also be moments for opportunity. It depends on what we do, right? But this time I thought, well, what is between those two? What is between danger and opportunity? Because not always that danger, or that moment, or that crisis, is going to lead to an opportunity, and it's going to lead to something good, a good outcome. So thinking about what's in between, first thing that came to mind is that uncertainty, it's always in between those two. We will always find uncertainty when we're facing a danger and we don't know exactly which way to go or what to do, or sometimes we don't even know what to feel or what we're feeling at that moment. And that uncertainty, most of the time, it leads to fear. So fear, which is something that is a feeling that may paralyze us or may make us go crazy. It's what lies connected to this uncertainty. And I thought then, okay, I'm in a moment of crisis. we are in a moment of crisis, and it may be an opportunity. It is uncertain, but we are facing a fear. So what is the opposite of that fear? How can I move away from that fear? What would that mean? What would that be like? And if I think, to me, what is the opposite of fear? If you go to the dictionary, and I confess I didn't go to the dictionary or the thesaurus to check, but it may be courage. You may be fearful, or you may be full of courage. Now, that's not what came to mind. What came to mind is that the opposite of fear, and what I should be looking for, is faith. And on that account, I want to, and for those of you who've heard my talks before, I like to get personal and use my own experience to reflect on what I'm trying to, the point that I'm trying to get to, and the things I've lived. From my personal experience, I thought about previous crises that I've gone through in my life, and we have gone through as a society. And of course, the first one that comes to mind is 2008 with the crash and the financial crash and everything that happened, and with the economy and the jobs and everything else, and the markets. But before that, there was the 2000, and that was the dot-com bubble burst. It was another crisis. In many places, it was deeply felt, also in terms of jobs and in terms of uncertainty and fear. And I looked back, and in between what I could remember and what I could get from Wikipedia, I realized that pretty much every 10 years we've had a big crisis. All the way back to 1973. I don't remember that one. I was 1 year old. But I did study that one, the oil crisis, another big one. So in my personal experience, those moments and even my personal crisis times were moments that were linked to peaks of anxiety for me personally, and I think for society as well. And in my personal case, those peaks of anxiety were linked to hyperactivity. So that's how I dealt with the moment. But that hyperactivity was fueled by fear. So I was in a moment of uncertainty, and I was feeling fear, and that fueled my reaction. So I had not thought of any of this until a couple of weeks ago. I was having a phone conversation with a friend, all-time, very close friend. We've known each other for more than 30 years. We know each other very well. And she was feeling very worried, and she was feeling the pain and the worry for everything that's happening, for the loss of lives, for the loss of jobs, for the broken economic system, and she sees how this situation is affecting a lot of people, and it's going to affect a lot of people for a prolonged time. And of course, this is all from or not all, but most from the point of view of material life and the life we're used to living. But the interesting thing for me out of that conversation was that towards the end, I was sharing with her as well how I feel and what I see and what I think. And she said, "You are very calm." And I thought, oh, this is interesting. And it's not because I have it all figured out. It's not because I have the job figured out, or the finances, or life, everything. Not at all. I don't. But she could sense that calmness in me, and she could feel it, and I could feel it myself. And then I thought, well, I believe this is the first time that in a situation like this, and the one we're living right now, it's probably a deeper crisis and a more profound time of change and of crisis that we've gone through before any of those that I mentioned. I don't think they are as deep and as important as this one. So in a moment when that crisis is more profound, is more deep, it's bigger, I am more calm. And I realize that my reaction and how I am, it's different from the people around me. And it used to be the same. So I used to be in sync, I used to be in tune with a lot of people in a way that I couldn't notice the difference, because it was just, I was just having the same reactions, I was having the same feelings. Now I'm not, and that made me realize, well, what is different now? Why am I reacting different? Why do I have such a different reaction? And I guess the answer is I'm having that different reaction because I'm a different person. I'm not the person I was. And that made me think about transformation. So why am I not the same person that I used to be? And I realized I've, at least for the consciously and even decisively, for the past 10 years, I've been on this path of transformation. And of course, transformation, it's something that it's ongoing and it's indefinite. It's going to be forever. But many times we talk about transformation, and we do that here. We do that a lot. We talk a lot about transforming ourselves, about going through inner transformation, about changing, about developing, about evolving. We talk about all that. But many times, and I include myself in this, we think, wow, but that's very difficult. That's like way out there. And we think, well, yeah, maybe I'm doing something, but it's not enough. It's not enough. I should be doing more. But the truth is that after 10 years of making the decision of stepping in the direction of self-knowledge, stepping in the direction of meditation, stepping in the direction of studying about spirituality and making it a priority. And it didn't happen from one day to the next. So I didn't wake up one day and said, okay, I'm going to do all those things. But now, 10 years later, I see that I've been walking in that direction one step at a time, little by little, little by little. I'm making every day, making decisions that were taking me on that direction. And as I said, it's not enough, not even there. I don't even know where there is. But what I know is that today I can see the effects of that. I can see what that means. It's palpable, it's tangible. And I see that while my reactions before, that hyperactivity and that anxiety, were fueled by fear, this being more calm and being more observant and being more present, even though the uncertainty is exactly the same, I don't have the answers, but all of that, it's fueled by faith. It's not fueled by fear, and that's a big difference. So I want to share today that in a world that it's full of fear, we see examples of faith in action. We're seeing that every day. And the first one that I want to bring here is the social distancing and the stay at home. Because it's very normal to ask ourselves, why do I have to do that? I'm healthy. I'm not even in a risk group. I'm okay. I never get sick, or very rarely get sick. Why would I have to do that? But we are doing that. Most of us, the immense majority of us, we are doing that. And that's an example of faith in action, because that means that we have faith in each other. It means that we have faith in solidarity. It means that we have faith in fraternity, faith in community. It means that we have faith in putting the welfare of the group ahead of our own personal interest. Because staying at home and the social distancing, it goes against the personal interest of many of us, of a lot of people. But it is the best thing to do for the community, for the whole of us. So we start to think we more than me. And I think that's an example of faith in action, and we are all together in that one. I'm seeing examples of industries that are stopping their regular business to tend to needs of the community. And I've seen specific cases of, say, an industry that typically works on electronic components for electrical installations. They took all their engineers and all their people and started working on designing, prototyping, and building respirators, and just with the intention of giving them to the community for the hospitals and the people who are in need at this moment. Or industries that swifted to just make masks or make protection suits, and many of them are giving them to the community. So we are seeing those examples of faith in action. We see, and it's very important, the people who work in health, the people who work in food supply chain, the people who work in essential services. They are workers that are risking their lives and the lives of their families to save ours and to protect our lives. So all of these people, they are heroes, and they are examples of faith in action. I want to bring the story here of a group of 5 friends, and this happened through the last month in Spain. Italy, Spain are some of the worst hit countries, and they've been on a complete lockdown for a little over a month now. And 5 friends, they were staying at home, people from different backgrounds, and they got together online, of course, and they said, what can we do? Let's do something. And they saw that there was a huge need for testing for the virus. And they did the research. They saw that one of the best solutions are some robots that can process thousands of tests per day. So they put themselves to try to get those robots for hospitals in Spain. Well, they managed to get the funding. Each one of those robots costs thousands of dollars. So they went to private companies, private people, asked for the money. They got the money. Once they got the money and they could purchase, those robots were in China. They got another company who does business with China to put their supply chain infrastructure at service of these and bring the machines. Once the machines were in the country, they got another company to put manpower to code and do the development and the coding for those machines to be able to work. And just 5 people that decided to do something for everyone else instead of just staying at home arms crossed. Another example of this faith in action. Now, probably many of you have read the news about big cities, Los Angeles, New York, Rome, Madrid, London, all the big cities. The pollution levels of those cities have dropped dramatically. And of course, we're at home. We're not driving. We're not polluting. But the thing behind that, or one of the things behind that, because one of them is a clear message that we are going beyond our possibilities of polluting and damaging the environment. But one of the consequences has been that many people had to work remotely, had to start working remotely. And many companies that up to that point were opposed to that idea of having their employees work remotely, they had no option but to allow that. And in this moment of uncertainty and in this moment of fear, many people are finding that their family life has improved, the relation with the family, the time that they're spending at home. Even people with kids, my own godson in Spain, he is 10, and of course he can't go to school, as kids are not going to school, but he's still going to school. So every day at the same time, 8 a.m., he goes to the computer, he logs in, and he follows every class as he used to, with his friends from school and everything, while his father and his mother are working from home on a different room. And then they get to eat together and they get time to do things together, and they're not polluting the environment. So some things are never going to be the same. And I'm not saying everything is going to be work remote, but I'm saying the way we were doing things was not the way, and we need to change. And again, this is going to be an opportunity to do things differently, and to do things fueled not by fear. In this case, just as an example, the fear of a businessman or a business owner that the employees are not going to do their job if he's not watching over them at all times. Well, the list of examples and things that are happening, some we see them, some we are not seeing them, but they will surface good change that it's happening, and then it's fueled by faith. The list goes on. So at this moment, and thinking about that, and thinking about what we do, what I wanted to bring another example, but this example is from almost 2,000 years ago. As I was reading in a book, the book is called Ignacio of Antioch, and is the story of the first Christian communities in the first and beginning of 2nd century. And it tells how they started and developed, and how they behaved and lived and felt, and how they started spreading the gospel. And I want to go to a particular moment in the story, and this is the year December of 115 AC. Ignacio, at that time, he was in his 80s. He had met Jesus when he was a child. At the time, he was in his 80s, and he was working for the community in Antioch. And Antioch was located in Syria. Antioch was a very rich city. And in December of that year, 115, there was a huge earthquake. So total ruin, total devastation in the city and in the area. And the story and the book narrates how the Christians at the time, the Christian communities, they left their interests aside, they left their businesses and their things aside, and they tended to the people who needed it, to the people who were wounded, to shelter the homeless, and to shelter and look for families for the many orphans that were there. And at that time, most of the population, the Syrian population there, the Roman population, they were just desperate, running around trying to salvage their own wealth, their properties, and their affairs. Well, the thing is that this first group, at that time, they were fueled by faith in what they were doing. Everything was uncertain. They didn't know what was going to happen. And the second group was fueled by fear. So much fear that they started persecuting the Christians, because it was said that their worship of a single God had enraged their group of gods, and that's why the earthquake came. And all of this while they kept on trying to help other people. So I was just putting myself there and thinking, okay, this is a prosperous city. Forget or not, because it doesn't make any difference. This is the year 115, 116, but it's a prosperous city. It's a city where there's businesses, where there's commerce, or where there's wealth, where people have their activities, their business relationships, and so on. It's a place even where there's politics are going on. The emperor was in the area at the time when this happened, Trajan. Well, that sounds pretty much like us here today. It sounds like that kind of place. And everything stopped from one day to the next due to the earthquake. Sounds very similar. Everything is stopping now here from one day to the next. So not very different from today's situation. Well, when we read the story, we would like to think that we would have acted like those Christians. And also because we know that tragedy led to reconstruction, and we know that it all passed with the time. But although we know this will too pass, when it does, when this is all over or all behind, and many things will have changed by then, but we will think, where was I? What did I do in the time of crisis? And then again, in the time of prosperity that will come after, and again in the time of crisis that will come after, because all of those moments will keep on passing and arriving. And we should make no mistake, because we're here now, because we chose to be here now, to go through this, to work on our faith. We are working on that faith, and this is an opportunity for us, and we chose that. We chose to be here. Well, we know that life does not end when we disincarnate. So it's easy now, today, almost 2,000 years and many incarnations after, to know what was the right thing to do there at that time. But it was not easy for them. For them, living at that moment, it was not easy to know what to do. The same way that it's not easy to know what to do today for us here. So let's allow ourselves to be moved by faith. And let's start today. Let's start one step at a time. We can't do everything at once, but we can take one step today. So let's set ourselves in the path that will lead us to be where we want to be, even if it seems very difficult, even if it seems impossible. Let me finish by reading a short 2 paragraphs from the Spiritist Review, and this is extracted from the issue of June 1860. It's a message by the Spirit Georges that I think it speaks to us today. And if you allow me, I would like to read the original, and then I'll read the English translation. And it says, la misère humaine n'est pas dans l'incertitude de ces événements qui tantôt élèvent, tantôt précipitent. Elle gît tout entière dans le cœur avide et insatiable qui aspire sans cesse à recevoir, qui se plaint de la sécheresse d'autrui et ne s'avise jamais de sa propre aridité. Human misery is not the uncertainty of events, which sometimes elevate, sometimes precipitate. She lies entirely in the greedy and insatiable heart, which ceaselessly aspires to receive, which complains of the dryness of others, and never notices its own aridity. Le cœur humain est un chalice plein de larmes. Mais vient l'aurore, et elle boira l'eau de vos cœurs. Elle sera pour vous la vie qui éblouira vos yeux aveugles par l'obscurité de la prison charnelle. Courage! Chaque jour est une délivrance. Marchez dans la douloureuse voie. Marchez en suivant de jeu l'étoile de la mystérieuse espérance. The human heart is a chalice full of tears. But come the dawn, and she will drink the water of your hearts. It will be for you the life which will dazzle your eyes blinded by the darkness of the carnal prison. Courage! Every day is a deliverance. Walk in the painful way. Walk, following with your eyes the star of mysterious hope. Well, thank you very much for having been with us. I don't know if we have, do we have announcements? Yes, we do. Reminders. So, next week, Wednesday, 8 p.m. at this very same time and place, your home, we'll have with us Steve talking Enough is Enough. Maybe that's a message for me. It's past 8:30. Okay, Steve, got it. I'll be here next week. I mean, at home. And a very important reminder, we have been having meditation, group guided meditation at the center for a few years now, and we continue to have that now. So you can tune in from your home. Every Tuesday at 7 p.m. we have meditation, group guided meditation in English. And at 8 p.m., I don't know if that may be, yes, the next slide, thank you. At 8 p.m. we have a study group on mediumship. So again, those are two steps that we can take in that direction. And study, know, share those steps with the group. It's really good to get to know about our reality. In this case, we're studying about mediumship. We are studying about communication. We are studying about enhancing our vision of the world, and we're sharing that with the group. Very good group. So I think that is it. Also, a reminder that every Monday at 8 p.m. and every Saturday at 6:30 p.m. online we have talks just like this one in Portuguese with translation into English. So please look us up online, Broward Spiritist Society, and join us for any of those activities. And let's close our eyes if you feel comfortable with it. And join me. In expressing our gratitude first of all, for having the amazing opportunity of being here on earth, incarnate, being part of the moment when the transformation is accelerating, it's moving faster, when we have the opportunity to position ourselves to experiment, to experience, to fortify our faith, to make it stronger. Let's ask for courage to go through that. Let's ask for humility to be able to know where is our place at this moment, what we can do, what we can't, be at peace with both, to have the courage to contribute with our energy, with our vibration, with our prayer, with our good thoughts, positive thoughts, to elevate the vibration of the planet, to support the good vibration in the planet, to raise the immune system of the earth, of the planet, of our home as a whole, to tune in to that feeling of fraternity, of solidarity, to tune in to that universal concept that is derived from love and that shows us now more clearly than ever that we are all one, that we are all together, that we are all connected, that my well-being is not possible without the well-being of the community, without the well-being of everyone and everything here on earth. And let's think also about everyone and every family that is suffering one way or another at this moment. May they have the strength and the help, the spiritual help that we all need and that they need the most at this time. People who are in hospitals, maybe some of them never set foot in a hospital, now they had to. People who are in prisons, they have no choice but to believe and to have faith. May we be able to share some of our energy and faith with them at this time. And with that, and thanking our mentor spirits, the spirit mentors of the house, Jesus, governor of the planet, and God, we ask for permission to end the work of the evening. So be it.